Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 68 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish is quite possibly the most common fish in the world. Definitely the most common in houses across the world. Today we are actually going to be talking about the goldfish. So, goldfish, or scientific name Carassius auratus, again that is Carassius auratus. It is part of the family Cyprinidae, which is the carp and minnow family. It is basically a carp. Now, I know what you're thinking, what about this goldfish? What about that goldfish? And quite frankly, it was kind of difficult to choose pictures for this, because if you look, there is a million different goldfish, just a ton of them. Google Eye, Celestial Eye, there's a lot of different goldfish out there, but they're all the same species. They are all the same species, so just keep that in mind. They were originally found only in China. That is where they evolved, or at least in Southeast Asia. And they were actually originally bred to be eaten. Thousands of years ago, ancient Asian cultures would breed these for food because they can get a lot larger than people believe. And then later on, that's when they began to be selectively bred for color. In fact, just a little interesting fact about this, in about the 9th century, certain weird color morphs of goldfish, when captured by fishermen, where they were actually not eaten and were then released into Buddhist ponds in an act of mercy. It's a mercy release. The monks actually are fed and kept them, so the fish were protected, and releasing of that was why the goldfish actually had a very spiritual quality. Especially when you consider that when you think of koi fish, that koi fish is another one that you might be thinking of. Koi fish is actually a common carp, just a color morph of that. Just like you have all these color morphs and shape morphs of the goldfish, the common carp actually has all these as well. However, the common carp is actually significantly more common. So since the goldfish were more rare in the wild in Asia, it was considered to be a better act of mercy. It's really difficult to give a physical description of a goldfish because, as I've said, you have all these different goldfish that have different colors, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just what they have done to make weird versions of this fish are crazy. Just absolutely crazy. But I can say for certain they have 2 sets of paired fins, and then they have 3 singular fins. Something else, they actually do not have scales on the head. Just a little interesting tip. They do have spines on some of their fins, but that's not always the case, especially in your home aquariums. In the wild, they were primarily more gold and yellow. But yellow was, you could not own a yellow goldfish in ancient China because yellow was considered to be the color of royalty. So only the royalty could have yellow goldfish, and then that's actually where the selective breeding for color really began to happen, was when about 1,000 years ago, when the ancient Chinese dynasties were trying to breed for yellow. Now, usually when they're kept in smaller indoor aquariums, they tend to stay about 1 inch, which is 2.5 centimeters, to about 2 inches, 5 centimeters. They're not that big. They usually just grow to the size of their aquarium. However, they do get significantly larger than people think. You have here a person caught this. This actually, I think, was a natural resources person. Caught this goldfish. This is in New York, a lake in New York. Oh, something else I should note about the physicality of goldfish, they do have these really large scales. They're pretty dang big. But you can see here, that is a goldfish just caught in the wild. Here's another one. Supersized goldfish pose giant problem for Lake Tahoe. So they are a rather invasive species for North America. Because they're so generalistic, these things can survive anything. In terms of like size though, getting back to the size, we were talking about like why they're such a problem and how big they can get. Well, the IGFA record, the International Game Fish Association record for goldfish, it was caught in 2002 in California. It was 4.26 kilograms, 9 pounds, 6 ounces of fish. That is a large goldfish. Just also something interesting to know, I should have mentioned this earlier, I completely skipped over this. When I said they were selectively bred for color, and it's really difficult to give the physical description because there are so many, currently there are about 300 breeds of goldfish recognized in China. And just so interesting. Anyway, so you might be asking, Ping, why care about it? And I wouldn't call them the cockroaches of the fish world, Tavi. I would say mosquito fish or bluegill were probably more the cockroaches, but people like bluegill, so probably mosquito fish. But Ping, why are we looking at the goldfish? Why do we care about the goldfish? Well, obviously it's got importance. Every home aquarium has had one of these. I feel like it's just, important. It was used as a food fish. They were actually stocked as feeder fish for like a bunch of lakes in Texas before they stopped doing that. But these things are actually very important for scientific studies. They have been heavily studied. It's kind of incredible. So the interesting fact that we're going to end this on is just like the amount of studies that have gone on about this fish. One study, they're used in toxicity studies because they're actually really good at absorbing substances. They're really good at absorbing pollutants and figuring out what level of toxicity these things get. In the 19th century, they were used for digitalis dosing. Something else, they have one of the most studied senses of vision in fish, probably in the world. They actually have 4 kinds of cone cells. So they're actually a tetrachomorph or something. I can't remember the exact word, but they can see 4 different kinds of cone cells. So they're respectively sensitive to red, green, blue, and ultraviolet. So we'll get into that. So they can actually see into the ultraviolet spectrum, and then they're really sensitive to red, green, and blue colors. Actually, we're going to get into that right now. They actually have pretty good memories. The reason why they get that bad memory kind of rap is some of the selectively bred ones do have reduced mental capacity, but your more common goldfish, your regular looking goldfish, and most of your other goldfish, I'm just saying they kind of get a bad rap all of the way around. They actually have pretty good memories. That makes them, they're used in psychology studies actually. Researchers have actually found that they can be trained to tell the difference between Bach and Stravinsky's classical music. Yeah, my cat's making me bad. But so they can actually tell the difference between music. They can get they can become very owner dependent as well, meaning that when they see their owner, they'll get super excited and will eat out of their owner's hand. But if another person comes in, they'll run away. It seems that their memories seem to max out at about 3 months. 3 months is about when they can remember stuff. Something else, they're used in skin cancer studies because they actually have they're rather sensitive to sunlight on their skin. So they're used at studies looking at cancer. They are also used to looking at anoxic studies. They can survive short periods of entirely anoxic conditions, meaning no oxygen whatsoever. Survival is shorter during higher temperatures, but it's probably a cold weather adaptation because these are really like it kind of chilly. Researchers think that this is specifically an adaptation to survive in frozen water bodies over winter. It's really interesting how they do this. The energy is obtained from liver glycogen. This process depends on a crazy medical thing called pyruvate decarboxylase, which is, I cannot go into the specifics of that. But however, I can say it's the first known example of this pyruvate decarboxylase. It's the first known example in vertebrates. So that's actually really interesting. I mean, they're just using all these studies because they can breed easily and they're cheap. Let's be honest. You can go buy your pet store and buy a ton of goldfish for a couple of cents sometimes. I should mention though that some of those poor goldfish that have these incredible heads, this thick, warty one, these taste delicious, by the way, but some of the ones with these bellies and these heads, they're actually so misshapen from the original body shape that those cannot actually breed at all. So just kind of a sad, but that's true. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. And peace.